sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raising voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, real night band.
All right, and welcome back here to the Blitz shows for the Space and Treasure Coast edition here as we roll along here. Good evening, Josh Wilson, Christopher Like here as we roll along here and getting that ticker up and going here as we are live here. And, well, here we are to the second show of For the Night, Chris. And as we roll along here, we're going to have a great show. We're going to talk to Jeff Fisher of High School Football America. I'm excited about this because quite a few teams. I have lost count just how many in Florida. I think Florida led the way in the High School Football America 300 in terms of the number of teams being ranked. I want to say it's like north of 50 because, I mean, you know, again, it just explains just how much talent we have in this state in terms of the schools that have talent and they are able to lead their programs to, you know, they're being nationally recognized. And love what Jeff does. You know, his national rankings, I feel like, especially for our computer ranking, is very, very close to being spot on every week. And I'm definitely excited to talk to Jeff about this, for us to talk to Jeff as well. But you know, from the Space Coast down from Brevard down all the way down to Stewart. I mean, it was a kind of a mixed bag of situation here during the Kickoff Classic. Some weather kind of got in the way in a couple of games, but I'll tell you what, Vero Beach they had they hosted the Treasure Coast Showdown, and one of those, a couple of those games that were in there weren't teams that were in the area, but looking at it with this, with Lincoln and Carroll City, I should say. Lincoln blew out Carroll City. Miami, Northwestern, and Lakeland played in the game there. In Northwestern blew them out. We'll talk about that in the South Florida Blitz coming up here and after this show. But just looking at it, the Space and Treasure Coast, there's going to be a lot of good football, and of course, Cocoa. They got a little challenge. They got tested by Bradford, but it was a good, nice little rematch for them between Cocoa and for the Tigers and Tornadoes as we go. Oh, nope, hitting the wrong button. There we go. Oh, nope. Why am I hitting the wrong button? What happened here? Did my Blitz Lines? There we go. What's happening is I'm not looking at the right button. I'm hitting the left button instead of the right button. So there you go. That's what happens sometimes when you got the mixer board here to the side instead of in front of you, which because I can't really put it in front of me because of the screen. So, but just looking at it here with everything, I know that with Coco is going to be, they're defending their state title here this year, and they get started this week. They're just going to get right out of the gate and get going, and they've got Merritt Island this week, which will be one of our games on the Pick Six coming up here in just a little bit.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great games this week, and you a lot of teams like O'Galley and Osceola.
Yes, Osceola is going to become the Treasure Coast. O'Galley at Vero Beach. John Carroll's going to host Cardinal Newman out of West Palm Beach. I'll tell you this: I've seen on the socials, Rockledge and Vieira. There's some chirping going on over there. I mean, Vieira was kind of like a middle of the road 5-5 team. Rockledge has got a new head coach this year in John Holmes. An alum, John Holmes, I should say, went to Titusville the last couple of years, turned the Terriers around. Now he's going to try to get Rockledge back up. Rockledge had been a pretty consistent playoff team. They were in the playoffs last year, but had some struggles down the stretch. The previous head coach, didn't even make it to the playoff game. So if that tells you anything, there's some transition going there at Rockledge as well.
Yeah, a lot of great talented team players in this region, and a lot of teams that are on that cusp of being a really great state championship quality programs out there.
No, absolutely. Of course, as we go back, look at the scores here. Vieira beat Palm Bay 52-20 in that kickoff classic. But again, we got to remind ourselves here with the kickoff classes. I had a discussion with Jeff, and we'll talk about it. The preseason games, I've seen some rankings out there where people have updated their rankings, put the preseason ranking out there, and then updated after the kickoff classic. And let me tell you, that couldn't be, in my opinion, that's just not the right objective to go about things here, in my opinion, because honestly, you learn so much from the kickoff classics, but really, the formats vary. You can't. There's no way to tell. Oh, did they play it like a real game? Well, some did, but some didn't.
Yeah, it varies from team to team and game to game what to do, especially for the kickoff classic. Some of those teams want to get the younger players some reps and see what they're made of before the regular season starts.
No, absolutely. Of course, the Sunshine State Athletic Association had their first games in last week, and of course, some of the results from those particular games, because those games do count. Satellite Oak Ridge, that one doesn't count actually, because Oak Ridge is still an FHA member. Satellite in the SSA for their first year, but they beat Oak Ridge 38-0. That game will not go down on the record, but these particular games do go. These two particular games go on the record. Space Coast beat Cedar Creek 59-0. St. Edwards beat Bayside 20-12, which, by the way, I believe the FPRI was right on that St. Edwards was going to win that game. And but I kind of took Bayside after seeing what happened with St. Edwards in their kickoff classic against Jupiter Christian in the previous Friday before that. So I'm sitting there with an L there sitting there. Of course, we'll have a full calculation on our Pick Six record for week 0 and week 1 next week when we come live as we get the season rolling here, Chris. But any thoughts, takeaways that just hearing that with St. Edwards after we talked to Billy Miller, Bayside head coach, last week?
Yeah, I think Space Coast is a team on the rise, and he's a great coach, and the way he built that program from the ground up, it's been nothing but spectacular.
No, absolutely here and everything with that. But, man, just looking at it as we roll along here, I know that with everything said, I'm surprised I haven't seen Mark Cannon. I haven't seen Mark Cannon drop in here, but Mark Cannon, who was at those games down there at the Treasure Coast Classic, the Treasure Coast preseason Classic last week and at Vero Beach, it was definitely hot and definitely very interesting to see what they had here. But, of course, again, I said Lincoln beat Carroll City. I'm trying to remember the Vero Beach score. I'm having because that one happened. I know that Miami Northwestern blew out Lakeland, and that one, I don't think anybody again should be surprised that they saw that in that situation with that particular game. Those games that they brought in some quality games right there in that kickoff classic.
Yeah. I mean, like we say, the kickoff classes are there. They're showcased. You can gauge some things, but you can also dismiss a lot of things too.
Wow. So as I look here, the comments are starting to fire off. And Mark Cannon says a lot of speedy skill players for Vero to go, along with an impressive sophomore quarterback. And honestly, I can tell you, Vero Beach is known to have quarterbacks rise up, and that will be fun to watch here. All right. As we roll along here, we're getting ready to go into our interview here in about 2 minutes here, Chris. And we'll have Jeff Fisher from High School Football America on to talk all the national rankings, especially those for the guys from Florida. So we'll have that coming up here in about 2 minutes after we take the break. Here, you're watching the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here on FloorHSFootball.com. We'll be right back right after this.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
Touchdown! Touchdown!
Juggled and caught!
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
All right, and welcome back here to the Blitz here, the Space and Treasure Coast edition here. And I'm happy to welcome this great guest here. Been wanting to get him on here, and we did cross paths about a little over a week ago at the Jacksonville Jaguars preseason, the only Jaguars preseason home game they had for this year against the Pittsburgh Steelers for the NFL Play Football game. And Jeff Fisher from High School Football America. It's so great to see you, my man. And it was yeah, it's really impressive. You started going through with the stuff with the High School Football America 300. I know you went back, going back in the archives and going back when it first started out as opinion poll. Was that like 2012? I want to say it's
been a long time, and after 1 year of throwing my opinion out there, I decided there was a better way to do it. I needed a way to look at the way the ranking should be done, and we came up with an algorithm. We tweaked it early on quite a bit, I would say, and we still look at it at the end of every year to see how it's doing. And right now we're very, very happy with it. I appreciate all the kind words that you gave us. We are proud of what we've been able to do. We truly believe that our algorithm actually fits into things in a much better way than you see some of the others out there. And I'm not blasting anybody else by saying that. All I'm saying is we think ours is very, very realistic, and we're never going to have a national championship, so to speak, but it's the closest thing to breaking down exactly what goes on the field. As I've told you before, I've told you this too, Christopher, along the way. And by the way, hello, I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah,
I got him in the fold over here now.
Well, that's good. But anyway, as I've told you in the past, I hate. And I know hate's a bad word these days, but I hate national rankings in the preseason. There's no way to do it easily. Yes, you can do it with an opinion poll, but with an algorithm, it's very, very difficult. I love to tell the story that the first year when we did the opinion poll in 2012, we waited until September the 17th to release our first ranking, because I just said, you got to have something to base it upon. So I'd love to do it, but the fans love it. I think they've gotten to the point now where they realize it's to get the chat going, get everybody fired up and talking about the season. But at the end of the day, if you want to fire off a tweet at me or a nasty email, I got thick skin, but come on, man, it's just for fun.
It is, and I say that based upon what I've just done with the Florida Power Rankings Index, which it's fun to toy around with the numbers, see what because what one algorithm says may be something different than what the other algorithm says. But I think at the end of the day, just being able to have the chatter and being able to have comparisons and be like, okay, how close are we? Are we close in agreement, or how far away are we? With everything. So I like that. And but Jeff, with everything that is happening here in the Sunshine State, obviously 52 teams, as I looked it up here, going up to the preseason here, rankings on highschoolfootballamerica.com, 52 teams in Florida ranked in the preseason rankings. Obviously, the first update for in-season will come this Sunday after all the national games have been completed here. But how hard is it when you start looking at this to do the preseason? Obviously, you've got to rely on some historical data. You obviously got to, there's probably, I think you told me there's a slight opinion here before everything drops off and it's all, all the data. So, I mean, how hard is it, especially with like Florida, where obviously open enrollment is a big thing here. Transfers are happening almost, it seems like daily. It seems like they're transferring more than I'm changing my socks, it seems like.
And that's happening all over the country.
How difficult is it to especially deal with the teams here in Florida when you're having to get ready for the rankings every year?
It goes back to my word hate. That's why I hate doing them, because you can't track that. And it's not just Florida. It's a bunch of other states where transfers come in. So there is no opinion in the preseason algorithm, but we do try to look at who's coming back and all that and factor that in there. But what we really rely on, strength of schedule, no surprise there, right? Tradition does come into play. There's no doubt about that. Beyond that, it's just a couple of other things in it. So it's really designed to analyze what's happening on the field. But yeah, it's not easy. But I will say this, and congratulations on putting together your rankings too. What we really like about what we've done, what's this? We started in 13, we're in 25, right? So we're in lucky year 13, I guess, or somewhere around there. My math,
yeah,
something like that. Anyway, the thing we like is 68% of the teams that have started in our national rankings. Remember, we started with the top 25, just like everybody else, and then I got dumb and got to 50, and then I took it to 100, and then I took it to 200, and then I took it to 300. So if you take all of those things across the spectrum since 2013, 68% of the teams that started in our national rankings, whether that's top 25 or top 300, have finished the year there. So that's pretty good. I'm very, very proud of that number. So, while I complain about the preseason rankings and all that, we seem to have at least a decent formula that can point to what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. And Chris, I'm sure you got probably a question there for Jeff to fire off.
Yeah, Jeff, good to see you again. One of the things that I wonder is, how do you compare the states between each other, like Texas and Ohio and Delaware and Alaska and those other states. How do you get those fit those into the equation into the national rankings?
Yeah, I mean, and that's tough too. And when we started out with it, and that was one of the biggest things that I was always debating when I watched it. And again, I get along with all the ranking services out there. Everybody does an awesome job. Let's face it, we're all in the same business, right? To promote this great sport that we love. But kind of where I fell off the table with things and said, let's just go with something a little different, with an algorithm that's a little different, was and again, I'm going to pick out one little town. It's a great town. I've stayed there. It's great football. It's in West Virginia, Martinsburg, West Virginia. The Bulldogs have won a lot of state titles. I think they're going for their 4-peat this year, or 5-peat maybe. But my point of saying that is, I used to look at the granddaddy of them all, right? USA Today, the Super 25. It was so great. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know. Can West Virginia beat Florida on a regular basis, Texas on a regular basis, Georgia on a regular basis, and all that? So when we started creating it, we sort of, I wouldn't say stack the deck, because we didn't do that. You can break into the national rankings very easily, but you've got to be able to have some sort of strength of state. So we kind of have a strength of state that goes into the algorithm, and it takes it from there. So, with what Josh said at the top, we have 52 teams in our national rankings in the top 300 from Florida. That's easily outdistancing Texas, which has 38. Georgia's third with 28. And then you got California 26. I think my memory's right here. Ohio.
Yeah, you're doing. I'm reading.
Ohio 21. Good, Josh, because I don't have this in front of me right now.
But it explains how well you know your rankings, and that's a key critical part.
This is what I do, just like you, Josh. This is my job. This is not like a little side gig that I'm doing while working at some place. But going back to your point, Chris. At the end of the day, the strength of the state is going to help you in that. And you mentioned Delaware there, and there's an excellent example there. We've had Middletown out of Delaware, very good program there, start out on the national rankings. And why is that? Well, the state, not all that strong, right? But they play that out-of-state schedule, and that's really what's brought the algorithm and the opinion polls and everything to a better level these days, because we have so many of the good teams playing the other teams outside of the state and all that. And I was just on a show in Georgia here in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that I've been disappointed in, now the South Georgia teams do this, but like some of our good teams up here around Atlanta, like Buford, for example, number 12 in our national rankings, not playing an out-of-state school. And I think that's insane when you're bordered by Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina. There's some good football around here. You don't have to go that far to play it. But, the state does come into play. And right now, and it's been this way for the last, I think, 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, going back to COVID, Florida has started the year the best state in the nation and ended the year as the best state in the nation. And I know that makes everybody in the Sunshine State feel get a big old smile on their face.
No, absolutely. You're going to hear a little chime. It's just letting us know we're getting closer to the time to wrap up. But we've got a couple questions in the chat here, Jeff, because this is where I really need to. I just really need to kind of get these questions answered for you, because because these are really good questions. First, from Emery Smith, since you brought it up, how many nasty messages have you received about your rankings?
I'll tell you what, years ago, a lot. Now, not so many. I mean, I think people realize that we do take our job seriously, but we don't, we're not there to harm anybody. I mean, we're here to promote this great sport.
No, absolutely. And for Mark Cannon, for you, for a question for Mr. Fisher, what is the current national opinion of high school football in Florida? So what is the perspective from outside the state line?
Well, living in Georgia, I'll say one thing. Everybody believes that you guys have the greatest offensive skills people in the world, right? They think that, you got good DBs and all that. The offensive line maybe not as good. So that's just one of those. But from a standpoint of wanting to play a Florida team, not anybody wants to do it, although we do have a couple coming up. Of course, we've got top ranked Modern Day taking on St. Thomas Aquinas, and then you got St. John Bosco against Manatee, so that should be interesting. But overall, people respect the state of Florida and what they do, whether it's in season at the college level, pro level, going into the NFL and our draft tracker and all that. So people love the state of Florida. They know how tough it is. By the way, you need to keep your coaches better, and I know you and I have talked.
I know, and I think you've talked to Dr. Andrew Edgett yourself from the Florida Coaches Coalition. I mean, we had him on last week to start the season, and man, they're getting closer and everything. But man, oh man, it's a thing about. By the way, speaking of the Georgia teams, I know this week that especially it'll be on our pick six tomorrow night for Central Florida. We got Milton, Georgia at the First Academy. We got Creekside, Georgia coming down the play, Sanford Seminoles. So I mean, the Georgia teams are not afraid to play the Florida teams, especially on the border wars. I mean, along I-10, you can find plenty of them.
Yeah, no, and you can. And like I said, but there seems like, and Milton's done that the last couple of years. But when I see Buford not have one out-of-state opponent, I'm a little.
That I was scratching my head on, because usually, Buford, at some point, Buford's playing a team from Florida or playing for a team from somewhere else that's nationally ranked.
Yeah, no, like I said, I just feel it's something that should be done. And here in the Southeast, with so many great football states around Georgia, and same thing with Florida, right? It's not that hard to cross the border and come up. I mean, I know travel expenses and budgets and all that, but ultimately, we need to see more of those, cross the state line type of games.
No, absolutely. Chris, you got any final thoughts for Jeff before we wrap up here with the interview?
Yeah. I know we saw it last week. Milton got their winning streak snapped. What kind of effect did it have in the national ranking for Milton, and what do you see them coming down south for?
Yeah, well, first off, and Chris, you said this. I'm sorry, Josh, you said this at the top. We're not putting out our national rankings until this coming Sunday. However, we did put out our new Georgia State rankings first in season, and they held steady. It was a close loss, an away loss. Right now they're going to hold their spot. It's going to be interesting to see what, the First Academy is going to do down there. Milton is a very good team. I was surprised how well or how easily IMG beat them. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're a little overranked. We don't have them in the top 25, but I know a lot of services have them in the top 25. It'll be an interesting game, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. And Jeff, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and where to visit for the latest High School Football America 300 rankings during the season. Of course, we'll spotlight those rankings as well during the season on FloridaHSFootball.com for the Florida teams, but where they can find the full national rankings at. Everything's free on High School Football America, highschoolfootballamerica.com. Our X handle, I still say Twitter, but I got X out properly, I guess. HSFB America. You can see us on Instagram at High School Football America, Facebook at High School Football America, anywhere. Yeah, and on the website, there's all the little icons to click and all that. But really appreciate what you do, Josh. And I've said this before on the air, and I'm going to say it again. Florida is very lucky to have you doing what you do, you and Christopher. I mean, it's incredible, the job that you do. I respect the heck out of you, and we're always here to support you. And you are the man. You and Blue, baby. You are the OGs. I appreciate it, Jeff, and thank you again so much for coming on and talking about the national rankings and everything. And of course, again, 52 teams ranked in the Sunshine State, and of course, there be no surprise that Cocoa and the Space Coast area that they are definitely sitting up there and potentially looking at a 4.
Yep, no doubt about it. They're highly ranked too. They're number 37.
There you go. You have it from Jeff Fisher. Appreciate you for joining us here. Jeff Fisher from High School Football America. Have a great one.
Take care.
All right. Thank you. All right, that was Jeff Fisher from High School Football America here, and we appreciate him being able to come on and talk to us here. We're going to take a quick break here, then we got to get into the pick six and wrap up, because you know what? We're going to get into South Florida, and we got a great guest lined up for that one tonight as well. So we'll be right back here after our 2-minute timeout here on the Blitz Space and Treasure Coast edition.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with a free ScoreStream mobile app. Download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
And he's in the end zone for the touchdown. Touchdown.
Juggled and caught.
And all right, welcome back here to the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here on 40trustfootball.com. Christopher Light, I'm Joshua Wilson here. And as we go into our fan questions and comments here, Emery says, don't pay attention to the nasty messages. Many people are loyal and loud about their teams and get mad when you go against them. Keep doing your job. That's to Jeff Fisher. But it applies here to us as well, because certainly I have seen a few comments here where people have complained, and they may not so mean necessarily nasty in terms of the wording, but definitely asking me, like, you know, especially like, oh, well, Gadsden County shouldn't be ranked, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, they're still going through the appeals process. So technically going through appeals, you're innocent until proven guilty in the court of your peers in this situation.
Oh yeah, you see those nasty messages over the years, and I've had my fair share of them.
I've had my fair share of them over the years, and this is going year 16 here, and definitely one of those. And by the way, I saw a comment from Mark Cannon earlier. He says, I don't have to prove that I'm on fire for football after sitting through the Lincoln versus Carroll City game. He's definitely on fire, and I am on fire for football, and we are having football this week, and football that counts. And I mean counts. I mean, yes, the SSA games last week did count, but we're really into count between FHA and SSA football. So I am excited here as we get ready to roll into one of my favorite segments during the regular season, and that is, and of course, postseason as well, because we will do this as we go through the entire season. That is time for the Pick Six. And yes, time to pick the winners of the first games of the season here as we roll along here. Of course, as I mentioned on the Southwest Florida Blitz, and I'll mention it here again, the full Florida Power Rankings Index forecast for week number 1 will be up either very late tonight or tomorrow morning. So stay tuned for that. But what you see here will be all part of the forecast grid when it goes up. So these are official forecast numbers from the Florida Power Rankings Index as we roll along here to our first game. And this is game number 1, Sebring, the Blue Streaks out of Highlands County, going all the way over to Martin County and Stewart to play the Tigers. And Chris, looking at this game, before I bring up that computer ranking, I feel like this was a close game by just looking at it on paper. But I mean, I bring that computer ranking up in a moment. It's not going to agree with me. We'll find out in a moment. Hey, by the way, y'all play along with here and put your picks in the chat too as well, by the way. So what are you thinking here?
This game here, it's tough to gauge Sebring. You know, it depends on what Sebring team shows up. But since they're playing it at Martin County, I think Martin County is going to be a big favorite here.
Wow, that Chris is going Martin County here, so that right there to me. Oh wow, as I look at the forecast here, as I bring up the forecast here, It is calling Martin County a 1-point favorite over Sebring here, giving Martin County a 51% chance of winning, Sebring 49% chance on winning here. So, again, by the way, you can see these win probabilities as part of the premium season ticket or premium monthly season ticket package. Go to FloridaHSFootball.com/season ticket to get your subscription today. Premium for the year at $59.99, monthly is $7.99. And looking at it, I'm so torn on this one here. So that's what I'm really having a struggle here, Chris, on this one is to pick, because I love when games are such a line like this where it's where it's basically a coin flip. So Reno says Sebring is known for racing. I think they take the finish line late in the fourth. So he is rolling to Sebring here. Man, it's a trip. Sebring, Coach LeVar Scott, I like what he does. Also, what Rod Aaron's been doing there at Martin County. I'm just, man, this is such a hard one. But I'm going against the computer, and I'm taking Sebring here in this one for the game here. All right, our second game here as let me flash up the graphic that'll go up here, because I forgot to flash the graphic up here. But here's the graphic of the games here for this week. By the way, you can see that some games are going to be live stream. One on NFHS Network, a couple over on Brevard Sports Network. Alan Slarowski over there. They broadcast about like 5 games a week there, Brevard Sports Network. So I wanted to give a shout out there, because those games you can see there as well. Rockledge at Vieira. By the way, here we go. Rockledge at Vieira, Chris. I mean, there's been chirping here, but the computer is telling me something else here, that maybe the chirping will be silenced here come Friday night.
Yeah, this is going to be another close one. I think Rockledge should take this game. Vieira's going to be a great team, but I think Rockledge is maybe a step above them.
Yeah, I'm thinking Rockledge as well here in this situation here, Ian, despite the fact that, they do have a new head coach, John Holmes, coming in. Reno is going Rockledge as well in this game. As you see here, Rockledge 18-point favorite over Vieira, giving Rockledge a 94% chance of winning the game, Vieira 6%. Emery Smith says, I would normally go with Sebring, but I don't think Sebring's as good as in the past couple of years. They struggled the same in the spring game, but things can change between spring and fall, so I keeping that in mind as well. But he's taking Sebring. But all right, let's roll into our game number 3. Cocoa at Mirror Island. All right, you're gonna ask, why did I put this game on here? Well, the Space Coast Treasure Coast region is a much smaller region, Chris. We don't have as many games, but we want to honor the pick 6 here, so I had to throw this game on here. Plus, by the way, these teams have not played each other in the regular season in over a decade. So this is the first meeting, I believe, since 2012 when Cocoa went to Mirror Island, the O-Dome, as they call it there, their stadium there. It's not really a dome, but they call it the O-Dome. But Cocoa is visiting Mirror Island here this week to start the season. And the FPRI computer ranking is it's loving Cocoa all the way. That's, by the way, that should not be Mirror Island 7%. That is Cocoa 100%. Mirror Island 0% chance of winning on this one here. So, Chris, what are you thinking here?
I'm with the computer on this one. It's not even going to be close. It's probably going to be done by halftime with a running clock in the third quarter. So, Cocoa all the way.
No, absolutely. I'm going as well with this here. I am going Cocoa all the way as well. As I corrected it here on the screen here. Cocoa 100% win probability, Mirror Island 0, and everybody is in agreement on Cocoa, including Reno and myself. So as we roll along here to our third game, the fourth game, I should say, is Osceola out of Kissimmee at Treasure Coast. And Angel Edgecombe says, Tiger Pride, let's go Cocoa. And Emery Smith is going Cocoa as well. So everybody is on the hot cocoa train, as they say, hot cocoa. All right, this game here, Osceola Kissimmee at Treasure Coast. That'll be at South County Stadium Friday night. Osceola, Class 6A state runner-up from a year ago, and the Cowboys with the K are looking to give Treasure Coast another game here and get the winning going here. But Chris, what are you thinking here as we see the Cowboys and the Titans meet up here Friday night?
I think Osceola's got a lot of resentment from the state title game, and I think they're going to bounce back with a big victory to start the season.
You know, I'm liking that as well. Yeah, I feel like Osceola is gonna they're out for a revenge match, and they're not. You know, if that revenge match obviously is to get Westbrook to return again and to the state championship game, but that's a long way off. We're a long way off from December here, and all that. So again, everybody it's a clean slate here. Reno is going Osceola to ride to victory on this one here. I'm going Osceola, as the computer says, Osceola 30 over Treasure Coast, giving Osceola a 99% chance to win this game, according to the Florida Power Rankings Index. Reno Island bringing the heat with the picks tonight, as Mark Cannon says. There we go. See, Reno's missed on the shows, but Reno's got a lot of stuff going on. We'll that's for another day. Anyways, all right, our fifth game here as we roll along here. We have Cardinal Newman at John Carroll. That is a final, the pick six here. The game real quick here. Cardinal Newman, John Carroll, they last met in 2022, but boy, that Cardinal Newman team ranked right now number 2 in Class 1A according to the Florida Power Rankings Index. Chris, what are you thinking real quick?
I think Cardinal Newman could be a good, happy favorite. I think they should win it easily.
No, absolutely. And as we roll into our final game, by the way, Cardinal Newman, a 29-point favorite over John Carroll, according to FPRI. Cardinal Newman, a 99% chance to win that game. All right. As we roll, forgot to take that one off here. There we go. Okay, pick 6, O'Galley at Vero Beach. Chris, as we roll into that one, as we're running out of time here, O'Galley, a 9-point favorite over the Indians. Win probability, O'Galley, 79%. Vero Beach, a 21% chance here. What are you thinking?
Boy, I love this matchup. Vero Beach has got a shot, but I think O'Galley's going to win it.
No, I think O'Galley is going to win it here. And Reno says O'Galley late in the 4th to win it. So he is going O'Galley, as Emery Smith is going with Cardinal Newman as well. All right, that wraps it up for the pick 6. Any final thoughts here real quick, as we got to get ready and get over to our next show, the South Florida Blitz, where we're going to have Dr. Coach Kevin Perry on from the Broward County National High School Football Showcase. They got 8 games this week, so we're going to be talking to him with the National Showcase here. But any question here? And as Stephen Thatch is going Vero Beach by 7. Well, good evening to you, Stephen. Good to see you here. Any final thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, great to have Jeff Fisher on. Jeff Fisher, a legend in the high school football media landscape. So great to see how his ranking shape up this year.
No, absolutely. All right, for myself, Joshua Rosen, I was Christopher Like. We'll be back here in just a few minutes for the South Florida Blitz here on FloorHSFootball.com and the FloorHSFootball.com social media networks. We'll be right back right after this. See you soon.